Okay, that says we are recording. So I think we're good to go. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga for Aging Strong. And that's something, as we age, one of the things that we tend to lose is our muscle mass. We also lose some flexibility in our hips. And Nancy sent me an article that talks about how much of a percentage of the flexibility that we lose in our hips over time, both men and women, which I will send that out to you. So we need to combat those things that just happen naturally while we age. And it maybe doesn't mean we can stop them completely from happening, but maybe we can slow these things down so we can have a better lifestyle as we get older, more mobility, more flexibility, more strength, more stamina to do the things we want to do in our life. And I am all about that. So we're going to be talking about um, anterior and posterior tilt of our pelvis. So what I want you to do is find these two bones right here in the front of your hips. Those are called the ASIS, or anterior superior iliac spines. So anterior means to the front. Posterior means to the back. So I want you to bend your knees a little bit, and I'm going to turn kind of on an angle. And if we let these bones go forward like that, and I'm kind of accentuating it, I'm sticking my bum out and I'm creating a sway in my back. If we let these bones tilt backward, then I'm tightening my buttocks and I'm lengthening right here through the hip flexors. So I just want you to go through these two motions and start to warm up your lower back. Anterior tilt, posterior tilt. And this is easiest to do if you have a little bit of a bend in your knees, because then your pelvis can move kind of independently. So anterior tilt, will feel this sway in our back, our hip flexors shorten. Posterior tilt, we feel our butt tighten up and these lengthen right here. So tilt forward and tilt back. So what this article talked about was we kind of have an idea that to stretch our hip flexors that we need to take a leg back like this, which it does work. It does stretch the hip flexor. But it's more than just taking the leg back. It's about moving our pelvis when we do. And we've talked about when we're stretching the hip flexors, tightening the glutes. Remember, that's called reciprocal inhibition. So when we tighten this muscle relaxes. So let's do one more. Tilt and tilt. So what we're going to be working on with several exercises today is that posterior tilt, because I want you to get the idea of how to do it and then really feel how it changes some of our poses today. So let's start just in mountain. Nice long spine, shoulders down and back. And we'll come into an easy chair pose, bringing our arms forward. As you start to come up, circle your arms open. Do that pelvic tilt, squeeze your butt, and then we'll go down into chair. That's an anterior tilt of the pelvis when we're in chair pose. And then as we come up, we're tucking the tailbone. So we're here, opening out, and tucking. Now, I don't want you to tuck so hard that you feel like you're arching your back like that. It's just very subtle. And I think the article says something like it's a biomechanical upgrade. I'm not sure exactly the wording that was used. You'll be able to see that when I send you the article. But I want you to start to train your mind that each time you come up, you tighten the butt and you slightly posteriorly tilt the pelvis. Now on this one, I want you to come forward, sweep around, hold your arms behind you to stretch your chest, and then bend your elbows and straighten. And keep the butt tight. Straighten. So these are nice tricep extensions. We'll be able to do these with some weights if you'd like. Now I want to put this together. So we'll go down into chair. Circle around, come up, squeeze the buttocks, arms back, and do one tricep extension. Then lower your arms, down. Circle, open the chest, bend and straighten the elbows. Now this is really hard for me to maintain the posterior tilt because what I want to do is stay here and just arch my back, but that's not what we're doing. I want you to really squeeze the bum, tighten, tuck under. Good, let's do one more. Open, tuck the bum, bend and straighten, arms come down. So standing in your mountain pose, I just want you to slightly step one foot back, and you can be on your toe or you can have your foot flat. Bend your knees, and I want you to anteriorly tilt your pelvis so you're sticking your butt back, and then tuck it under. So where are we feeling this? Right here in the front of the hip. We can have the arms in any position that you'd like. We're just focusing right there on that posterior tilt. Under. Good. So you should feel a little bit different from when we did it with the legs together. If you're not feeling very much in that hip flexor, take a little baby step back a little further. But I don't want you to go way back because then that gets it into our lower back. And we want to get it right here in the pelvis. So tilt back and tilt forward. This is a great glute strengthener too, just to do these exercises, tightening the glute and releasing. So let's just do 3 more. Tuck under, little bend in the knees. 2. Now I want you to hold the posterior tilt, tuck under, hold, and reach the same arm up and stretch over to the side. Now you've got this glute really firing. You have that pelvic tilt in posterior, and now we're using the side body to add a little bit more length to the stretch. This would be the most baby warrior one that you could possibly do with a bend in the back knee. All right, excellent. Let's release it. I'm going to turn to the other side so you can see the other leg, but we're going to do a baby step back. Bend your knees a little bit, tilt your pelvis forward, the ASIS, and then tilt it back. Anterior, superior, iliac spine is these bones right here in front. Now, another reason we have a hard time doing the posterior tilt is when we get older, the bones of our lumbar spine almost fuse together in that lordotic arch. So it's hard to go the other direction with that part of your spine. Now, if you want to try a little bit more of a step back, just a small one, bend those knees, tuck, and arch. Now, after you've kind of learned this, I don't want you to over-exaggerate the arch. What we're focusing on is the tuck. So you can do a tiny arch and a big tuck, squeezing that glute. 4 and 3. I want to get this movement into your muscle memory. 2. Now pelvic tilt, tuck under, hold, reach the same arm up and side bend over away from that back leg. Keep engaging the glute and breathe. I keep finding just a little bit more space, like I'm finding a little more range of motion in the front of that hip. And we lose that range of motion and mobility because for a lot of our life, we're sitting. And that shortens that hip flexor, right? Okay, let's inhale back up and release it down. Now we're going to go back to our flow with the chair, opening back, and the tricep extension. If you'd like to pick up weights, I'm going pretty light. I have a pair of 3s. So we'll bring our feet into that nice neutral parallel position. Before you start, I want you to squeeze your bum and feel this lengthening here, slightly tuck under. And then we'll sit as the arms reach forward. Open out as we stand up, posterior tilt, arms back so we can stretch the chest, bend and straighten the elbow. And we go down and around. Tuck, bend and straighten. Now I find it's harder to maintain that posterior tilt when my arms are back behind me, because I want to arch my back instead. So this is really requiring a lot of concentration on my part. There's a lot to think about here. We've got the fronts of the shoulders. We have a beautiful chair or squat. Then we're circling the arms carefully and gently. We're tucking, finding a nice stretch through the chest, and then we're adding the tricep. Let's do 3 more. Chair, up, circle, pull back, bend and straighten. Oop, I forgot my tuck. 2 more. I'm also trying to build that muscle memory. Good, 1 more time. Great, and relax. Now I'm going to continue this upper body flow, but change a little bit to the legs. If you've had enough with the weights, just set them down. So we're going to involve that little baby step back with the tuck, as well as some balance. So I'll do it without the weights first. So we'll sit into our chair. We'll come up, and we'll take 1 foot back a little bit. We'll do the pelvic tilt, and then we'll step in. Let's do it on the other side. Chair, come up, step the other foot back a little bit, pelvic tilt, and step in. Okay, so with the weights, we sit into chair. We circle around as we come up. You're going to step the right foot back, tuck under, hold that tuck as we do the tricep extension, and then step in as your arms come down. Chair. Come up circling. Baby step back with the left foot. Pelvic tilt, posterior. Tricep extension. Okay, let's move on our own and explore this. And of course, the weights are just extra. The arm movements are just extra. I want you to mostly focus on the posterior tilt, mobilizing the hip flexor in a little different way than we've ever done before. Good. If you'd rather hold on to a chair and have some assistance for balance for this and just work on the legs, that's fantastic. Let's do 1 more on each side. Concentration is huge here. Last time on that left leg, stepping back. And relax. Nicely done. Weights are down. What are you feeling? So I hope after class in chat we can talk about this a little bit, what we felt with that. So facing your chair. Let's do a nice inhale. Exhale and bring your hands down to your chair. If you don't have one, you want to do a forward fold. We're going to step back to down dog, which you can do on the mat as well, and just stretch through the lats. Now, what would you say we're typically doing here for our pelvic tilt? We're definitely not doing a posterior tilt here. It's more anterior. But I want you to just slightly engage your abs so that your pelvis isn't really tipping back and your back is arching. That's just going to switch on your core a little bit. So from your downward dog, we'll just glide forward and put a little bit of pressure onto your shoulders for a little plank, and then push back. So you decide how much of a plank you want to do here. You can come all the way, dropping your hips, shoulders down and back, and press back. You can make this nice and gentle on your shoulders, but just coming forward a little bit. So you get to pick on this one. Good. Now, next time you come into that plank, I want you to hold 3 breaths. Tighten your glutes and do a pelvic tilt. So I'm just tightening my butt and trying to press my hips forward just a little bit. 2 more breaths. And 1. Come back to that down dog. Okay, if you like the chair, I want you to stay with that. If you want to come down to the mat, we're going to come to our knees and do this with child's pose and plank. We might feel this in the hip flexors a little bit more down from our knees. So for down on the mat, let's do our child's pose. And we'll hold here for a little bit because I want everybody to get set. If you're still up on your feet, you're doing that down dog. That's absolutely fine. And then let's play with this in terms of how far forward you want to come up. Do you want to just come to hands and knees right here and then push back? That's great. We can come forward a little bit to where you're in more of that full plank. The hips drop down a little bit and come up. And if you come all the way to your plank, you can focus on a posterior tilt. So I'm just, the reverse of doing this, I'm tucking under, tightening my bum. And push back. Come up, tuck under. Boy, our glutes are going to be really happy with all this work we're giving them today. And the bonus is the hip flexor release. Let's do 2 more. Posterior tilt. 1 more, and then we'll hold that plank, kneeling plank, with that posterior tilt for 3 breaths, or standing up on your feet. Keep tucking pelvis under. 1 more breath. Then press back to child's pose or your down dog. Okay, so if you don't mind being on your knees, you can stay here on your mat. We're going to come up and take a step forward with our right foot. And we're going to be in an exactly 90-90 position with our knees. So my front knee is 90 degrees. My back knee is 90 degrees. My shoulder, my hip, and my knee are in alignment. If you don't want to be on the floor on your knees, I have a great option for you using your chair. You sit on your chair on your right hip. You have your right foot in front. Your left knee is back. Look at that. I have the same thing going on, 90-90, but my back knee isn't touching the floor. So I'm actually going to stay here for a little bit since I'm up. So what are we going to do? We're going to tighten this back glute and posterior tilt. Oh, good heavens. I'm really feeling this. This is my last hip replacement, and I think this is really tight for me. And let's reach the arm up. If you want, you can add a side bend, and let's hold about 30 seconds. Wow, this is huge. I'm really feeling the intensity of this from the front of the hip all the way down my thigh. Now, most of you, you haven't been lately through a hip replacement, so you might be saying, I don't get what you're feeling, Lisa, but I really do feel the effects of this posterior tilt, and I feel like it's something I need to be doing. Okay, is that about 30 seconds? Let's come up, and then we're going to bring that same hand across and do a little twist. So this will be more challenging for your balance if you're on your knees down on the ground. On the chair, it's a little bit more manageable. Look behind you. Now tighten that back leg buttock. Try to keep your pelvic tilt going. And it is really small. It's really subtle. You might barely be able to make that connection. This one we're holding about 30 seconds as well. So one more breath. And then come back to center. Take a break. So if you're sitting in your chair, you can just bring that back leg forward. If you're down on the ground, you can maybe take a child's pose. I feel like I need to do a little bit of a seated happy baby here because I was feeling that a little bit in my low back. And why is that? Because the hip flexors connected to the lumbar spine. So sometimes you feel a little bit of that intensity move into the attachments. Okay, so I want to get you set up on the other side. So your left foot's going to be in front. And I'm just going to turn my chair around because I think I'm going to use the chair instead of go down on the mat. I do find that that is nice. So if you're in the chair, your left hip is on the chair. So my right bottom isn't. That way I can take this leg back and I've got a 90, 90. So, this is really interesting because what I kind of have been teaching and what most teachers teach is that you open up the hip flexor by taking your leg back more. Not necessarily true. If we find that posterior tilt, we can lengthen that hip flexor as well. So let's find that position, tighten the buttock, posterior tilt, lift the arm, and side stretch. Breathe. We're here about 30 seconds. So same thing if you're down on the mat. It's a little harder to balance because you're not supported on your rear end when you're down onto the mat. You're just on one foot and the other knee. A couple more breaths. Keep posterior tilt. Don't let it go. Okay, let's come up. Take that same arm, reach across, and do a twist. Posterior tilt. Yeah, this is huge. Right down my quad. I almost feel it in my IT band. My abductors a little bit. Hold and breathe. Looking for about 30 seconds on this stretch. 3 more breaths. Good. Back to center. Let's take a break. So if you're on the chair, bring the back leg forward. I'm going to do that little seated happy baby again. And we're all going to come back up to a stand for a sun salutation sequence. So using your chair, if you would like to, is going to be really nice. Or using your mat for your half series vinyasa. So I'm going to do chair at least on my first round. Now this is going to be sun salutation B. We'll do it without weights, but we might add them in. We'll see how that goes. Now I want you to be mindful of your pelvic tilt, posterior tilt in several areas of this flow. Right off the bat, standing in mountain, tuck your tailbone under a little, squeeze your glutes, and stand tall. This is very subtle. It's the reverse from arching your butt back, so just squeeze it under. We'll inhale, the arms forward. Exhale, sit into chair. Good. Now your spine is pretty neutral here, so we don't want to do a posterior tilt here. It's not going to do us any good because our hips are flexed forward, so it's not giving us a stretch in the hip flexors. Now we'll inhale, come back up. Exhale and swan dive into forward bend. So you can use your chair or you can come all the way down to the mat. And let's hold this forward bend for about 3 breaths. So we really feel the backs of the legs lengthening. 2 more breaths. And then we'll walk back to down dog, either using the chair or using the mat. Hold that down dog 3 breaths. Scoop the abs in. Try not to accentuate the anterior tilt. Now, if you'd prefer not to do the half series vinyasa, just stay in your down dog for a few more breaths. Otherwise, we're going to come forward into our plank like we did earlier in the class. Posterior tilt. Bend your elbows any amount, chaturanga. And then a little bit of back extension, or if you're on the mat, you can do that baby cobra. And then we'll press back to our down dog. If you stayed there, we're back to join you. And then bend your knees a little bit. And we're going to step the right foot forward. Plant the back foot on a little bit of an angle. Stand up. Palms at your heart. Warrior 1. Now, here's where we're going to focus on the posterior tilt. So tuck under. Squeeze the left glute. Option to lift the left arm up while right hand is at the hip. And side stretch over. Wow, is this ever intense, adding that posterior tilt into the mix? We've been doing it before with the glute tightening, but we haven't been focusing on the posterior tilt. It's a subtle layer, but it is so effective. Okay, come back up. Let's come into pyramids. So inhale the arms up, straighten the front leg, and shift forward and stretch the hamstring. Hands can come to the chair, blocks, floor. Just get your stretch. Nice job. 2 more breaths. Now from here, we'll put in a balance pose, Warrior 3. So I want you to rebend your front knee a little bit, use your chair for balance, and lift your back foot off the floor and try to level off your pelvis so your back foot is facing straight down. It's not turned out to the side. So we're pressing our left hip down to the floor. Now tighten your left glute. We can even bend this knee and push it up to the ceiling. If you want to try letting go of one hand, try letting go of the right. And this is going to be like a bird dog, spinal balance. Keep the abs in. 1 more breath. Bring the right hand down. The left foot comes down to meet the right. And let's rise up and reach. Inhale. Arms by your side, mountain pose. Exhale, find your little bit of a pelvic tilt. Posterior. Now, when I tilt my butt under, my shoulders want to round like this. So I want you to combat that. Give yourself the pelvic tilt, but still pull your shoulders back. It's really intense. Okay, let's do the other side. So inhale, the arms forward. Exhale, sit into chair. Not a posterior tilt, but neutral. Good. Inhale, press back up. Exhale, swan dive into your forward fold using the chair or the mat. Let's hold 3 breaths. And then we'll step the feet back to our down dog, chair or mat. Stretch 3 breaths. If you want to skip the half series vinyasa for shoulder or wrist problems, stay there. Otherwise, we'll inhale forward to plank. Do a little posterior tilt. Bend the elbows slightly, chaturanga. Lower the hips down, extend the spine into cobra or up dog. And then press back to your down dog where we're all back together here. Then we'll bend our knees a little bit and take a step forward with the left foot. Slightly turn out the right just a little bit. Come up with palms at your heart. Keep your hips forward. And we'll do the posterior tilt. So you're tucking under. We have this nice stretch here. Reach the right arm up, left hand at your hip, and side stretch. Wow, this feels really tight. Two more breaths. All right, let's move into our pyramid. So we'll reach both hands up and straighten out the front leg. Shift forward into our hamstring stretch. I do like the chair to support here, but you can come down to other props or to the floor, or even support here on your shin. Just be sure not to press against your knee. And more of a neutral spine, not an anterior tilt, not a posterior, but keeping the abdominals engaged. I'm also feeling a nice stretch in the right calf on that back leg. So my foot is almost parallel. Okay, let's get ready for our balance pose. So as we come up, we bend the front knee a little bit, bring the hands to support on the chair, lift the back leg up, level off your pelvis. So you're pushing your right hip down. Your toes are facing the floor, not turned out, so your leg is neutral. We can bend the knee, squeeze the glute, and push the leg up. Hold. Option to lift your left hand forward. Spinal balance. Warrior 3 modification. Keep your abs scooped in. Try not to do an anterior tilt here. That's going to give you too much of a sway back. One more breath. Good. Hand comes down. That right foot lowers down to find the mat. Your back and your forward bend. And then we'll inhale, reverse swan dive coming up. Reach. And let the arms float down by your sides. Okay, if you're game for me, I'm going to pick up those light weights again, and we are going to put that first flow into this, and then we'll be setting our weights down on the chair to finish the process. So I'm going to grab the 3s, or you can do it without. We're going to do 3 sets of the chair pose flow before we move into the rest of the sun salutation. So stand tall, the weights by your side. Posterior tilt a little bit, tightening your glutes. Pull your shoulder blades back. Wow, this is, it's amazing how one small change can make such a big difference. Okay, so we'll inhale, sit back into chair, the arms come forward. As we stand, we circle around, arms come to the back, posterior tilt, a tricep extension, and come down. Now on the next one, we're going to get to step our right foot back. So come into chair, arms forward, come up, circling around, step your right foot back a little bit, posterior tilt, and a tricep extension. Lower the arms as you step in. Now we'll do the left side. Chair, circle, step back left just a little bit, posterior tilt, tighten your glute, tricep extension, and step in. Now inhale, just bring the arms forward slightly. Exhale, soften the knees, and as you swan dive into forward bend, you can set your weights to your chair or down to the mat. Hold 3 breaths. It's amazing how my heart rate came up with that, adding those weights to that process. Okay, let's step back into our down dog using the chair or the mat. 3 breaths. And feel free to stay here, or let's take that half series vinyasa, inhaling to plank. If you're on the mat, you can be on your knees. Pelvic tilt, chaturanga, cobra or up dog, back to your down dog. Bend the knees a bit, step your right foot forward, plant your left heel, come up, palms at heart center. Tuck the pelvis posterior, tighten your left glute. Reach the left arm up, side bend to the right. So hopefully by now, you're really making a neuromuscular connection with what we're doing here and really feeling more comfortable with this. Good. Let's get ready for our pyramid. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, dive down and hold. Now, while we're holding pyramid, if you wanted, you could grab one of your weights and do an arm row. Or if you like the tricep work, we can do a tricep kickback here with the left hand. Or just hold and breathe. We'll get ready for our warrior. So slightly bending the front knee, we'll lift off the back leg. Level the pelvis, option to bend the knee. Push the heel up to the ceiling, tightening the left glute. Option to lift the right arm forward. Or maybe you can even grab your weight and hold it. I wouldn't want to do this with more than a 3-pounder. 2 more breaths. Right hand comes down. Left leg lowers. We're back in our forward bend. Then reach for your weights. Bend your knees a little bit and rise up to stand. Okay, let's begin again. We'll do one more set on the other side. So start in your good mountain pose with a little bit of a posterior tilt. Shoulders are back. And let's do our chair pose flow. Sit into chair, arms forward. As you rise up, circle around, chest expansion, tuck the tailbone under, tricep extension, arms down. This time with the left leg stepping back. Sit into chair. Rise up, circle. Tuck the tailbone, posterior tilt. Step the left foot back. Tricep. And step in. One more time on the right side, chair. Circle, big inhale. Step the right foot back. Posterior tilt, tricep extension. And release. Inhale, arms forward. Soften the knees, swan dive down to your forward fold, leaving your weights on the chair or the mat. Hold 3 breaths. Let's step back to our down dog. 3 breaths. Either remaining here for more stretch or strengthen in that half series vinyasa, gliding forward to plank, posterior tilt, chaturanga, extend the spine, and press back to your down dog. I tried to maintain that posterior tilt when I did my up dog, and boy, did I ever feel the lengthening in those hip flexors. So let's bend the knees a little bit. We'll step the right foot forward, plant the left foot, rise up, palms at the heart, tuck the tailbone under, so posterior tilt. I don't know about you, but I'm finding this is easier now. I'm beginning to find more range of motion here in my pelvis. Left arm up, right hand to the hip, side stretch. That's what it's all about, right? But we need to maintain some consistency with this over the next few weeks to really see some improvement in our hip mobility. Okay, let's inhale, reach the arms, straighten out the front leg. Exhale, come all the way down. Wait a minute, we did the other side, didn't we? Yes, this looks familiar. Okay, I think I stepped the wrong foot back, didn't I? So let's try it again. All right, so I think we have our right foot back. If you don't agree with me, you know which one you already did. But when I got to that pyramid, I thought, okay, I was on this side before. Oh yeah, this one says you neglected me here. So let's hold one more breath. Nice, and come up. Excellent. Now we'll reach, straightening out the front leg, come into our pyramid. And then you have an option to reach for a weight if you want. Maybe do a row or a tricep kickback. So I figured I was on the wrong side when I got to this part because I thought, oh no, I already did the other side with that. Couple more breaths in your pyramid. Okay, let's get ready for our balance pose. So we'll start to bend the front knee, lift off the back leg, level off the pelvis, bend the knee, push up, tightening the right glute, reaching the left arm forward or holding the weight with us. Now really ignite the abdominals so you don't sway your back and arch and lose that control. Tighten the right glute. Couple more breaths. Ooh, everything's shaking. Okay, the weight comes down or the hand comes down. The right leg comes down. We're back in our forward fold. Soften the knees. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, arms by your side for your last mountain pose with that little bit of a tuck. Tightening your glute, but pull your shoulder blades back. Wow, pretty incredible. Okay, we're going to come down onto our back. We're going to do some of this posterior tilt laying on our back. And again, just to train our spine to do this, it's a little bit different way we can do it. We're going to be doing some bridging. And I kind of like every once in a while to use my chair for bridging. So I'm actually going to slide my chair forward a little bit here so I can put my feet on top of it. So take your time to come down. You can either bring your feet flat to the floor or up on top of your chair. Now try to find a neutral alignment for you. So for me, that neutral, there's a little small space under my lower back. And when we do a posterior tilt, like we've been talking about, we tuck our tailbone under and we press our low back down into the mat. And then release it. So do a few of those, tucking under. Now, because our hips are flexed here, this is not about stretching the hip flexors. You're not going to feel this here. What it's doing is opening up the vertebrae of the lumbar spine and working on that mobility of those bones that sometimes get really stiff and fused in that position. So now we're going to do a pelvic tilt hold and then push into your feet and lift your hips up off the floor just a little bit and try to keep tucking more. Hold it 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come down, relax, back to neutral. Take one leg up, stretch the hamstring. If you have your yoga strap there, you can use it. There's a lot of work in the hamstring when we do that kind of bridging, so I just want you to lengthen it out. Maybe point and flex the ankle or some ankle circles. And if you're thinking we're going to do another set, you would be correct. Okay, so let's bring the heels back down to the floor or to your chair. Tuck the pelvis under, posterior tilt. Then lift up a little bit off the mat into your bridge. Hold 10, 9, 8, 7. Tighten the glutes, hamstrings. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back down. Extend your left leg up, stretch. Flex and point or some ankle circles. Okay, we're going to do one more of those pelvic tilt with a bridge. So both heels are down. Find neutral first, and then tuck and lift. Tighten the buttocks. Keep tucking under more. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come down. Now either hug both knees into your chest or take both legs straight up, flex and point, or circle. So we're just doing a little bit of knees to chest or legs up the wall, whichever feels better for you. Nice. Okay, let's bring the feet down to the floor. So I'm just going to slide my chair a little bit away. And one last little opening for the hip flexor is windshield wiper. So if we set our feet flat on the floor, fairly wide apart, and our knees are going to be apart too, we'll drop them over to the right. And when you do, slightly posterior, do a posterior tilt with your left pelvis and tighten your left glute. Wow, I feel that clear down that hip flexor into my quadricep. And then we'll go to the other side. Now, I know mostly the reason I'm feeling this is I'm very tight from the hip replacement. So you're probably not getting as much sensation as I am, but I'm hoping you're feeling a little bit there. So let's just go side to side, pausing at each side for maybe a couple of breaths. And I just want to say thanks to Nancy McCall again for sending that article. I just really feel, I know for me, this is something I need to work on, and hopefully for many of us, this is just a really nice addition to layering our hip work. Let's do one more on each side. I know what I need to do every day. And then switch. And back to center. Now I want to do the same thing, but in a figure 4 position. So let's walk our feet in just a little. Cross your right ankle over your left. Open that knee out a little bit. You can brace with your elbows down on the mat. And we're just going to go over to the right. Tighten the left glute. And then we'll go over to the left. Now, when we go to the left, we're not doing a pelvic tilt or tightening a glute. We're just getting a nice twist and maybe some hip opener on the buttocks here. And let's do one more each side. Drop the knees to the right. Hold maybe 2 breaths. Here's where you do your pelvic tilt on your left glute. And over to the left. Hold 2 breaths. You might go as far that you can get your right foot to come down to the floor, but keep your right shoulder blade down. And come up to the middle. Pull your knees up to your chest. Hold 3 breaths. All right, let's do the other side. I just noticed it's about 4 minutes till. So if my recording on Jitsi shuts off and you're doing this on YouTube, be sure you do all the other ones on the other side. Okay, so we're in our figure 4, left ankle crossed over. We are going to go to the left first. Tighten the right glute and do your posterior tilt. And then go over to the right and just enjoy a twist. And one more each side. Posterior tilt, tuck, tighten the right glute. And over to the right side. Left shoulder blade stays down on the mat. Back up to neutral. Hug both knees up to your chest for your figure 4 or reclining pigeon pose. 3 breaths. Okay, let's lower the feet down. Soles of the feet together, knees open, butterfly, Baddha Konasana. Close your eyes and breathe. Just take this time to acknowledge your hard work today. Acknowledge the dedication that you have to this community that we have built, to the health of your body, your mind, your emotions, your spirit, your soul. All right, let's take our time to come all the way back up to mountain. I know it's hard to do that after we're down onto the floor, but take your time. The best way for you to come to a stand. And then we'll finish with just a few pelvic tilts like we started with. So bend your knees, tuck, and the other way. This feels, at least for me, significantly different than when we just started. It doesn't feel easy, but it feels like I made definitely some advancement in my hip mobility. All right, let's rise straight up. Take a nice big inhale together. Exhale, press the hands and the thumbs down to the heart as we pause to celebrate today our class, what we've learned, and what we shared together. And the light that resides within my heart honors the light in the hearts of each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. If you can stay to chat, I would love to. We didn't get that opportunity on Tuesday, so I'd love to hear how this work was for you today and how it might affect your body moving forward. Oh, Jitsi stayed on for us. Okay, good. Let me bring it down.